It's final word. It's me and him.
Sure is.
It's the county wrap. It's the county wrap. Bring it on.
It's the county wrap. Can I say off the top, Adam, that I am pumped. I'm pumped about this. I'm pumped that the comeback continues. Big Curtis Patterson.
Oh yeah.
We said a couple of years ago. We said, will he ever have the chance to drop below Andy Gantome with the test average of 112? Curtis currently on 144, the greatest of all time. And we were worried that the comeback might never happen. He was out of the New South Wales team, but he's back in the New South Wales team. He's back at the prison at Silverwater, making tons, getting in the helicopter, escaping from the prison, and now the helicopter has made it all the way to the United Kingdom, and he is going to be playing county championship cricket with an opportunity. Now then, imagine Gastro sweeps through the Australian team just before the World Test Championship final. Kurt's played 3 games. He's made 3 tons, maybe 6 tons. Maybe let's be greedy. He's twin-tonned it 3 games in a row, and he's straight into that side to become a world champion. Could it happen?
And on a test venue, he'll be playing at the Oval for Surrey. So 3 games, 1 against Warwickshire, 1 against Yorkshire, 1 against Essex. So a key passage in the season for Surrey. He didn't play this week, having won a thumping victory against Somerset the previous weekend. But this is the time of year when Surrey got really busy last year with some sort of big 22, 24 pointers. And they've brought Patterson in.
Surrey's the big dog in Division 1. They've won 3 in a row, all that stuff. Do they have an Australian connection? Who said Curtis Patterson? Out of all the world that we could have, he's the one we want.
Alex Stewart sorts everything.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Alex Stewart knows all. So he will know that Curtis Patterson is the man who's been making the runs. He made 750 at 57 for the Blues this year. And, with Jamie Smith and Ollie Pope in that Zimbabwe squad we mentioned before, they'll need some reinforcements. They probably don't need it because Surrey have just got players galore, but they've got that in the form of Curtis Patterson. So we wish him well. I said on the show last week that, Fergus O'Neill should overstay his visa and stay at my place so he can be here in case one of the big 3 breaks down. Well, if Curtis has finished and wants to stay here as well, they can all stay here. We can make space. It's fine. Everyone crash at my joint. I'm going to start with Division 2, though. I'm going to move away from the top flight to second division because the results here, Jeff, were absolutely brilliant. All 3 games had plenty going on. I want to tell you all about it. I'm going to start at Lords, where Kent were visiting. It didn't look like it was going to be a classic when the visitors were rolled for 129 on day 1. The great Toby Rowland-Jones, captain these days at the Sea Axis, 5 for 33. Their Middlesex made 238. So, a comfortable first innings lead in a low-scoring game. Then the game gets fun. Kent make 473 in a marathon effort second time around. Daniel Bell-Drummond, 223, 522 minutes in the middle for the Kent skipper, spent an age on 99.
Wow.
I'll never forget the impression that Deebs made on me 10 years ago in 2015 in that tour game
almost
against
your
Australia.
Anniversary.
Yeah, almost 10 years.
Are you gonna take him out? Are you gonna? He could come over for dinner with Ferg and Kurt, maybe on what is it, June?
It
it's
would
like
have
June
been
the 1st or something like that.
Yeah, it was Australia's first tour game, and they finished in the West Indies that year in the second week of June. So it'll be about the time of the World Test Championship final as it happens. I'm not saying for a moment that Daniel Bell-Drummond's in the frame for England selection. Like, his career has been a funny one. He's been touted as a future England player multiple times, in no small part due to that electrifying 100 he made at better than a run of ball against, Ryan Harris and Mitchell Johnson and I think Nathan Lyon, Fawad Ahmed,
Mitchell Marsh,
I think was the attack. Shane Watson too. But it never happened at that point. And these days he's the skipper, the senior pro at age 32.
Because Marsh played.
Yeah, Marsh played and made runs. I remember that. Anyway, what a way to make your 19th first-class ton count, to leave Middlesex 365 a victory, way behind in the game. Kent then ahead in the game after his double ton. But they left them 120 overs, which is like a huge amount of time for 10 wickets. But it is if you're going to hunt 365, 120 overs is a nice amount of time to do it in, because you don't need to do much other than chip away at 3 and over. And chip away, Middlesex did. They did it slowly. After losing an early wicket, there were contributions down the list. Then Luke Holman walks out at 5. I remember his T20 debut back when we were locked down in 2020 when he made a brisk 50. But it never really happened for Holman with the bat or the ball. His numbers aren't crash hot. He's probably at the crossroads as a professional cricketer. Then what better time to hit 103, his first 100 for Middlesex. But when he's out, it's 309 for 6. Kent have still got 24 overs to pick up 4 wickets. You're backing them from there. And then when Eskenazi's out, in the 102nd over, so 18 to go, it's 314 for 8. In walks the captain, Toby Rowland-Jones, to join Zafar Gohar, who's moved over from Gloucestershire this year, the left-arm spinner. And they just keep it ticking. They don't give up. They don't shut up shop. In Gohar's case, he was boundaryless, but he was scoring. That's the crucial thing. Then the penultimate over, Matt Parkinson bowling leg breaks, the short boundaries to the leg side for the left-hander. And from the last ball of the penultimate over of the match, with 5 runs to win, Zafar Gohar takes it on. His first boundary of his 30 not out is a 6 over deep mid-wicket to win the game by 2 wickets with 6 balls to spare. A beautiful social media video summing what this means to Middlesex. Great bit of commentary from Kevin Hand as well, who set it up magnificently, acknowledging that would be the ball they would go after. And that second win for Middlesex vaults them into third. They were bottom of Division 2 a couple of weeks ago. And as for Kent, they've kind of missed their chance at Lords and slipped down to 4th. But they look a decent team. And what a great game there at Lords, where everyone can acknowledge that it was one of those that'll be remembered for a long time, with Middlesex hauling down 365 with 6 balls to spare.
More like Zafar go hard, because that's what he did at the final ball of the penultimate over.
Love it.
Well, they haven't had much to celebrate for a while, Middlesex, so that gives them something. Peter Hanscom's Leicestershire, got a win. Tell me about that.
Did they ever? So Daniel and I spoke last week about the fact that they've never been promoted, Leicestershire. Since 2 divisions have started, they've never won their way into Division 1. Well, they've extended. And
disgruntled Leicestershire fans were out in force saying, we've won stuff, we just won white ball stuff.
Yeah,
but we weren't talking about white ball stuff. We were talking about red ball stuff.
I politely explained to one of our listeners that it wasn't a knock on Leicestershire, the club. I've been a member of Leicestershire before. I'd love to see them get promoted. It's more just
never
like,
been promoted. Can someone do us a Photoshop of Never Been Kissed starring Drew Barrymore, but featuring Peter Hanscom instead, and make it Never Been Promoted?
Yeah, well, they've been in Division 2 longer than has been since Essendon have won a final. That's the other reference point we had last week. But anyway, they won this week comfortably over Northants by 132 runs. At home, Leicestershire made 304. Rishi Patel, Tan, lower order resistance. Harry Conway took Fifer, playing his first game for Northants, and proceeded to give Hanscom a massive send-off, which is kind of fairly standard for Conway now. It's not the first time we've seen this, like, it seems like that kind of guy.
Behaviour.
There's like, who's sending off Pete Hanscom? Am I missing something here? One of the loveliest people in cricket.
Long list of enemies, Pete Hanscom.
Yeah, I don't know. I might be missing something.
He's John Wick, basically, of cricket.
Yeah. Anyway, Northants all out 191. Van Beek took 4 for Leicestershire, Dutch international. Then Leicestershire bowled out 175 after Sanderson picked up a 6 for. So, it's kind of game on with Northants needing 289. But they're bundled out for 156 in no small part because big Josh Hull, who played a test match last year, hit the stumps 3 times early on. He clean bowled 3 of the top 4. So Leicestershire right on board with their bid for that first promotion, and we are going to back them in. We're with you, Pete Hanscom. We're with the Foxes. We'll take out membership or something. I don't know. Get us down there. Get us up there. We will follow that campaign all the way through.
We will fox it up. When you drive through the Yarra Valley at night and you see the eyes of the foxes shining in your headlights, those burning silver dollars in the bushes at the side of the road, and you just think, fox. I've got an affinity with the foxes from all that time out there, and that's what we're going to be.
In our own way, we've got an affinity with Derby as well, just because I suppose we followed their rather tortured existence in recent seasons. Well, they're in second spot and they're staying put because they have held on. They've held on for a draw. And again, what Middlesex have done, Derby nearly did the same thing. Different configuration of the game where Glamorgan batted first and made 431. Then Derby made 350. So, Glamorgan are ahead in the game. Then they set it up. 256 for 7 declared, and it all comes alive with all results possible on the final day. All results possible.
Well, but at all 4 results on the day.
At 121 for 4, though, when Madsen goes in the 24th over, they've been having a real crack at it.
Wayne Madsen got out.
Yeah,
hasn't got out. Hasn't got out this year.
It sort of feels like you'll shut up shop. 121 for 4, they've had a crack, but Madsen goes 4 down. That's the point you knock it on the head. No one told Martin Anderson, who smashed 78 and kept them within striking distance. But unfortunately, he was out with 9 overs to go at 276 for 6, and they can't really go after the target. They lose wickets at 278, 278, 287, 293. They've got 28 balls to hold on, and they're 9 wickets down. And Ben Kellaway's taken his 5th wicket. He made his highest score for the Glamorgan with 74 earlier in the day. So he's got the hot hand. But Lewis Reese, who made runs earlier in the match, was joined by Blair Tickner, the New Zealand international, and they got through the 28 balls. They got the draw, and that keeps them, for now at least, in the provisional second promotion spot. So exciting for not only Leicestershire but Derbyshire as well, which is a nice thing that we're not talking about 1 or 2 games, right? This is now more than a third of the way into the season, where 2 teams who finished Leicestershire were mid-table last year with a lot of draws, but Derbyshire finished last in the country. That's exciting, especially when they're suppressing teams like Lancashire, who play on a test match ground and have got a very impressive list. Well, they've had a draw against Gloucestershire, which was far less exciting, with Lancs making 450. Our guy Marcus Harris getting 167 on the first day. Gloucestershire then went.
I really enjoy how much of the UK audience of this podcast, how the reluctant fan clubs for Australian players keep forming. They just can't help it. So we do an interview. They go, "Oh, Marcus Harris, he seems really nice. Oh, James Pattinson, he seems really nice. Marcus Stoinis, he seems really nice. Oh, Glenn Maxwell, he seems really nice." Oh. Just one by one.
The tip might be, the tip might be that we're careful with who we ask on the show, right? Like we're fairly, we like to get a certain type of talker.
Didn't have that reaction to David Warner, I will say.
No, that being one of the very first interviews that we did. Anyway, Gloucestershire made even more runs than the 450. They made 589 for 8. Ollie Price, high scorer in first class cricket, 253, not out for the 23-year-old. He's 6 ton.
Right.
Lots of people like him. No Jimmy's hurting Lancs. Clearly, they were expecting Anderson to lead the attack, but he's still not been able to play with that calf issue. Probably the most interesting thing that happened in the game was when their veteran fast bowler, Tom Bailey, for Lancashire, had his mobile phone fall out of his pocket when he was batting, which isn't ideal. He just forgot to take it out of his pocket when walking out to bat.
Aren't you supposed to hand them in?
Not for these games. No, you can keep your phone.
Not for
There's only certain if it's on. I'll be told if I've got this wrong. If it's on Sky, yes. If it's not, although I get your point. These are all streamed, right?
So maybe live streamed. I know the stream's a little bit behind, but it's only 30 seconds or so behind. Yeah. So if you can be texting old mate while he's batting, saying, "I suggest that your next ball's a dot ball," then
rife for pitch shining. Not to suggest for a moment that Tom Bailey is pitch shining. Disclaimer.
I'm not accusing anybody in particular. I'm just saying you shouldn't have your phone. Surely you shouldn't have phones in the dressing room during a professional domestic cricket match, whether or not it's on television. You can still follow the game, and you don't want people being able to communicate with players.
Yeah, the perception of being as pure as the driven snow is important, isn't it?
Is he playing fucking Candy Crush at the non-strikers end between overs? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I look. I've been at risk of doing that, walking out and then realising and chucking it on the ground. I can see how it's happened. Anyway, Gloss got 255 for 8 to make sure of the draw when they shook hands, and they are sitting in 5th in Division 2 this week. Northants hosting Lancashire, Kent hosting Glamorgan. Division 1 proper logjam here, Jeff. There are between 1st and 8th, only 20 points split them. Mm-hmm. So this is shaping up as an absolutely cracking season in the top flight. Warwickshire in 2nd spot after a 5-wicket victory over Yorkshire away from home. Yorkshire had Joe Root at their disposal. Missed out in the first innings, 1 from 17. Root made as Yorkshire were bowled out for 205. Ethan Bamber, speaking of delightful guests on the final word, took 5 for 47. Good on you, Ethan. His first 5 for at his new club. Warwickshire then 253. Bo Webster on Warwickshire debut, 85 from 86. Nice highlight package on the county championship Insta. He's looking delightful. Pretty important timing for Bo Webster to look good as well, considering that Green made those runs. Not saying that they can't both fit in the World Test Championship side, but if Webster's making runs, then of course you'll bowl. It makes it easier to. The way he gets in. I
think they can both fit, and unless there are injuries,
all Labuschagne gets punted, which I don't think they'll do. I'd be surprised. A lot of good problems to have there for Australia. Anyway, Webster, great timing in his first hit. Yorkshire then do marginally better in their second innings, 232. It was really Root who kept them in at making 90. Bamber 4 more, so 9 wickets in the match. And Webster, if you're wondering, bowled 11 overs, none for 50. And Warwickshire set 185 and piss it in. They get it 5 down. So Warwickshire, having sacked their coach, Robbo, at the start of the season, are in 2nd spot so far.
Yeah, curious. curious. That Jack Leach mention you had before came in a win for Somerset, which they haven't had a lot of.
No, that's their first win of the season, Somerset, and in classic Somerset fashion, they won the game, and they're immediately quite chippy on social media on their official account. Like they have a certain form about them, Somerset, both administratively on their digital output, and they're rather how would you describe their fan base? They're just perennially angry. Find me a happy Somerset fan. There are reasons for that. They've never won the comp. But they did win here. Essex all out 206. Leach, 30 overs, 12 maidens, 3 for 35 on a pitch that could not be greener. So it looked good. He's bowling nicely. It was the day after that test squad, so he wasn't lacking in motivation. Somerset did have a first innings deficit. They were blown away from Harmer, who took 4 for after opening the bowling, so he must have seen the example of Leach. Cook and Poulter a couple of pieces as well. So Somerset 145 behind in the game. Then Essex get 259 to bolster their lead. Cox, that 100 we referred to in the previous segment, 103 retired hurt. It left Somerset 321. I wonder how many more they're chasing if Cox doesn't retire hurt, so it's 321 as a target with a guy who's reached 3 figures and had to go off immediately. But they're the beneficiaries of that probably slightly lower target. And look, they're in all sorts. So credit to Somerset here. They have fought back from 78 for 5 when Tom Banton fell. Enter James Rue. He's bloody done it, Jeff. His 10th first-class ton that we've been kind of vaguely interested in.
Waiting for because of the youth thing. Can he more runs or more hundreds than Compton by the age of?
Yeah, it's actually neither, I realise now. I just misunderstood the stat. So he's the youngest since Compton. To get to 10 first-class tons in England. So it's still significant that he's still 21 and doing that. So, but that might be his best yet in a chase of 321, getting 116 to make it all possible. The captain, Lewis Gregory, the ever-reliable, getting 57 at number 7. And Craig Overton back in the side this week after missing against Surrey with a back spasm, 53 not out to finish the job. Looks like a mighty chase on the scorecard. So, Somerset on the board into that mid-table wrangling that I referred to before. And so are both Hampshire and Durham, who drew. Durham 511. And then Liam Dawson bowling 5 for 158 from 48 overs. So, keeps on keeping on Liam Dawson.
Go play some franchise cricket. You don't have to bowl 48 overs.
I actually think this speaks well of him. Like, he did this against Surrey as well. He bowled an enormous amount of overs for a very low economy rate. So I sort of feel like if you're making a case for Liam Dawson to go to Australia, being able to go at 3s or thereabouts, sometimes you need to do that job on days in the dirt. So anyway, I wish him well. He's a good fella. Hampshire 470, Ben Brown, the captain, 162, 70s for Nick Gubbins, and one of my favourite names in cricket, Felix Organ. And then Durham made 61 for
the happy Organ.
Indeed. So Notts, who didn't play, are still top of the pops on 70. Then Warwickshire, Surrey, Durham, Hampshire, Sussex, Somerset, Essex are all there and thereabouts. And indeed, Yorkshire are only 8 points behind that as well. So this week, Essex hosting Yorkshire. Warwickshire have got Surrey. Notts have got Hampshire, which is quite an important game for Notts there if they can win again at home. And Sussex have got Worcester for company, who are down the bottom of the table. That's it. That's the county wrap. That's the men, at least.
Well, there's how many rounds have they got before they pack up?
We've got a few more. We've got a bit going on until we've got 2 more games at Surrey, I reckon. So we're a ways away from them breaking. I think that's the 4th or 5th weekend. So we're into our work now. We're into our work, as are the women. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to engage with much of this yet, Jeff. But this 50 over comp is thick and fast. Like, they've already played 3 rounds in a week and a half in the top division. And in the second division, the top division have played 4 games. Second division have played 3.
Yeah.
So in the top flight, the Blaze, which are Notts, Somerset are both 3-1, followed by Warwickshire and Hampshire that are 2-1. A couple of no results in there. Middlesex 3-0 in the second division. Yorkshire 2-1, Glamorgan 2-1, Worcestershire 2-1. So that's the overarching. And in terms of the last couple of games that we've seen, well, the last round at least in the top division, Somerset chased 216 at Durham, thanks to Fran Wilson making a runnable 68. Essex defeated Lancashire by 5 wickets, chasing 231. Jody Grewcock, 73 not out. Surrey were defeated by Warwickshire by 3 wickets, so it was a round for the chasers after making 313 for 7 102 not out for Sophia Dunkley in the losing team. Davina Perrin made a quick 69 to make that possible for Warwickshire. And then the Blaze beat Hampshire, chasing 193 comfortably. A runner ball 112 for Tammy Beaumont, who was the senior player in that Blaze team. So all ticking over in the 50 over stuff, just when the 20 over cricket takes over in domestic England women's cricket for the next couple of months as well.
And we had the announcement during the week that, surprise, surprise, Lords will host the T20 World Cup final for the women in 2026. So we've got the venues nominated, not the full schedule. We don't know who all the teams will be yet, but unsurprisingly, the final will be at the ground with the highest capacity in the country.
Yeah, the interesting thing here, Jeff, is that 9 years on from the 2017 Women's World Cup, which was a landmark moment in the progression of the women's game, it's a bigger tournament, 12 teams, 33 matches in 24 days running through June and early July next year. But the grounds they're using other than Lords, Old Trafford, Headingley, Edgbaston, Hampshire, the Oval and Bristol. So Bristol survives as one of the grounds they used in 17. But other than that, they've graduated beyond them. They're using test venues. So, that's a noteworthy ambition to fill up grounds that weren't considered appropriate one generation earlier. So the only test venue of real note there, I think, to miss is Trent Bridge, which is interesting considering Trent Bridge hosted the Ashes Test match last year. And we know with Bristol, they can scale up, can't they, with the temporary stand. So it'll be a big tournament in the middle of the summer next year. The usual suspects have qualified: England, Australia, India, New Zealand, South Africa, the Windies, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. And 4 teams get the chance to qualify later this year. And that will be a fairly competitive tournament, because we know from the 50 over qualification recently that some really strong teams are now missing out on World Cups, which is a great place for women's cricket to be. And that T20 tournament next year will be presumably the biggest ever staged. So, we'll be here for that, covering every moment of it, I am certain.
Well, definitely. And a shame for Trent Bridge, because Nottingham's very handy to London. You would have thought that would be the kind of option that would get people travelling crowds as well as those who were at home. But that's the way it's panning out at the moment. And they're playing a one-day tri series at the moment between India, South Africa and Sri Lanka's women. Notable because Sri Lanka, they keep knocking teams off here and there. They ran down India, who made 275 for 9, which you would think would be too much. Adipatu took 3 wickets, of course, but wasn't the dominant figure in the chase, which normally you would expect her to be. Normally she is, but Nilakashi De Silva made 56 off 33 balls. And a massive, I think it was the most runs scored in a game between those two teams, and Sri Lanka add another one to their belt.
Yeah, and they knocked off South Africa, chasing 237 as well. This is more than green shoots. Like, this is a consistent pattern of behaviour. Sri Lanka are taking scalps. It's exciting.
Yeah, not in the big tournaments where you want them to put together a run, but they're doing it outside that.
Yeah,
so that's the next step.
Yeah, that's right. I think we're kind of like one cycle away from us talking about them in the same way that we might say, talk about the West Indies, or who, of course, made it to the elimination stage of a global tournament only last year. All right, Jeff, that's the end of our conversation today. I'll bid you farewell. And in a moment from now, we will welcome Ben Jones to talk about all that's going on in the Indian Premier League.